appearing to be dead. There are the 3 in that Saracen car. There are 2 men lying at the end of this block of flats. There's another man at least very close to being dead. There are 2 others up there. I'm told that there are some more in these flats here that I haven't seen yet.
There seem to have been a very large number of casualties.
Well, I suppose 5 is quite large in these circumstances. It's unfortunate.
Local people are saying that you used excessive force when you went in there.
On the 30th of January 1972, in Derry, Northern Ireland, a peaceful protest turned into a day of tragedy. It started as a civil rights march against unfair treatment by the British government, but by the end of the day, 13 people were shot dead by the British Army. This day became known as Bloody Sunday. The soldiers claimed they were fired at first, but most of the world saw it differently.
Well, what is force? If you're being fired at, you return fire, and they know that perfectly well. Do not fire back for the moment, unless you identify a positive target.
You have no worries about this action?
None at all.
The victims, unarmed civilians, many of them young as 17, protesting for their rights against an occupying force. Bloody Sunday shocked the world. For the people of Derry, it felt like a huge betrayal by the British government. It deepened the conflict in Northern Ireland, leading to years of more violence and anger. For the families, the pain of that day have never gone away. Bloody Sunday wasn't just a tragedy, it changed everything. Its impact is still felt in Derry, even today.
You have no worries about this action?
None at all.
So to understand the events of Bloody Sunday, we need to take a step back in time. The story of Ireland's struggle goes back centuries. We can't go down that rabbit hole. Instead, we're going to begin at 1916, a defining moment in Irish history. The Easter Rising, a rebellion against British rule, was crushed, but it sparked a revolution. To understand Ireland's path to the events like Bloody Sunday, we must reflect on the life of Michael Collins, a central figure in the fight for Irish independence. Born in County Cork in 1890, Collins rose to prominence during one of Ireland's most turbulent periods. He became a key player in the Easter Rising of 1916, an armed rebellion against British rule. Although the rising was suppressed, its leaders executed, and Ireland left in turmoil, Collins saw its potential to ignite a larger movement. Over the next few years, he became a master during the Irish War of Independence, pioneering guerrilla tactics that crippled British forces and intelligence networks. Collins was instrumental in negotiating the Anglo-Irish Treaty of 1921, which ended the war and established the Irish Free State. But the treaty was a compromise. It granted partial independence, leaving 6 counties in the north under British control. This decision divided Ireland and led to a bitter civil war. In 1922, at just 31 years old, Michael Collins was ambushed and killed during the Irish Civil War, becoming a martyr for the cause of Irish freedom. His vision and ethics reshaped Ireland's fight for sovereignty, but the divisions his treaty created left a legacy of conflict that echoes into the struggles of Northern Ireland, setting the stage for moments like Bloody Sunday. By 1922, Ireland was partitioned. the Republic of Ireland gained independence, while 6 counties in Northern Ireland remained under British control. This new state of the British Empire was called Northern Ireland, and within the new state was a minority Irish nationalist population which faced discrimination, housing, jobs and even voting, while Protestant Unionists maintained power, deepening divisions. Systematic discrimination against the Irish nationalist community was deeply entrenched in both housing and voting rights. The electoral system tied voting eligibility to property ownership. If you didn't own a house, you couldn't vote in local elections. And for nationalists, owning a house was an uphill battle. Local councils, often dominated by Protestant Unionist-controlled housing, for families, finding a home wasn't just difficult, it was deliberately obstructed. Nationalists often faced long waits for housing, even as new homes were allocated to Protestant families first. But in areas like Derry, where the Irish nationalists made up the majority, housing policy was used as a tool to maintain political control. Borders were drawn to favour the loyalists, keeping nationalists from achieving a voting majority in key districts. In some cases, business ownerships could easily cast additional votes based on their property holdings, further skewing the system in favour of the Unionist elite. By the late 1960s, these acts of discrimination and sectarianism inspired a global civil rights movement. Irish nationalists began marching for equality, but these peaceful protests were often met with hostility and violence. In 1969, the British Army deployed initially as peacekeepers, but their presence only added fuel to the fire, deepening tensions within an already fractured community. This systematic injustice and raising hostility set the stage for the events of January the 30th. 1972, a peaceful civil rights march in Derry called for basic equality. That day, members of the British Parachute Regiment, notoriously ill-suited and overly aggressive for such sensitive situations, killing 14 people and injuring many more. It was a day that should never, ever have happened, a tragic failure of judgment that left permanent scar on the community and on history. In the aftermath, the streets of Derry fell silent. Officials' reports claimed the soldiers acted in self-defence, a narrative quickly challenged by eyewitnesses. In the weeks following Bloody Sunday, the British government launched the Widgery Tribunal to investigate the tragedy, led by Lord Widgery. The inquiry quickly concluded the soldiers' actions were justified, citing claims of self-defence. However, the tribunal was widely condemned both in Northern Ireland and around the world. Critics argued it failed to interview key witnesses and relied heavily on military testimony. The families of the victims rejected the findings as a whitewash. Initially, the tribunal was viewed as a failure of justice. From Dublin to Washington, human rights organisations demanded accountability. It nearly took 40 years before they agreed a new inquiry.
Oh, fuck me, mate, they changed magazines. I took a guy out by the phone box, and there was one crawling away, and I got him. Lovely story, mate. I just went in, mate, first 2 rounds, well, I reckon I had 4 or 5 rounds, actually. I was almost... How many rounds you used? I had a mag. I had to change my mag. What did you do? I'm right, love. Adrenaline's pumping like this.
I saw you shoot civvies.
He was there, love. You see what I've done? Civvies, they're terrorists, mate.
Terrorists?
Keep an eye on the flags.
I never even saw Goodman.
They were shooting, they were there. You know what happened. You were there with us.
I saw what happened.
Listen in, be quiet. We went round there. We see loads of us, about 100 people. We see a gunman. We went left and right flanks and we took them out. You know what happened, right? Get the story right, because it's bound to come over. Yeah. Okay? Yeah.
The Saville report, published in 2010, after a 12-year investigation, revealed the painful truths long obscured. It confirmed that 6 unarmed civilians, Michael Kelly, Hugh Gilmore, John Young, Michael McDade, William Nash and Kevin McElhenney were killed by the British Army gunfire at the rubble barricade on Roosevelt Street. The area, once described as the aggro corner, became the focal point of the tragedy. Soldiers claimed they acted in self-defence, citing the presence of armed threats. However, Saville concluded the victims posed no threat and were unlawfully killed, i.e. they were murdered.
3 at least dead. There was a revolver man there, fired some shots at us.
Good, have we got the weapon?
No, sir.
We have no weapon. I want to get a clearing patrol down there now. We need to secure that area. We need to get the weapons off the shooters on the barricade.
The report dismantled the long-standing justification given by the British authorities. It found that the use of force was unjustifiable and some soldiers knowingly gave false accounts to obscure the truth.
So we have 3 dead confirmed. Let's get them back to the RAP.
Did you find anything on them? Any weapons? Have you searched the barricade? You've searched the barricade?
As quick as we could, sir, yeah.
There's no hidden weapons or empty...
The Saville report also exposed how initially the Widgery Tribunal had failed. Widgery's findings were widely criticised as a whitewash, focusing on military testimonies while neglecting key civilian witnesses. I mean, you couldn't make it up, could you?
Cases?
Fired 3 rounds.
Okay, who are you engaging?
No one, sir. I was firing.
What do you mean, no one?
There was the crowd was advancing, so I had no backup. I had to move the crowd. C Squadron were arresting guys further back. They were all just coming at us. I had to move them back, sir.
So you put down rounds to warn the crowd,
to
warning
move the
shots.
crowd.
Okay, we will talk about that later.
For years, we were told the Saville report finally told the world what we had long already known. Our loved ones were innocent. In the aftermath of the Saville findings, the British Prime Minister, David Cameron, offered a formal apology.
The conclusions of this report are absolutely clear. There is no doubt, there is nothing equivocal, there are no ambiguities. What happened on Bloody Sunday was both unjustified and unjustifiable. It was wrong. Lord Saville concludes that the soldiers of the support company who went into the bogside did so as a result of an order which should not have been given by their commander.
The Saville report marked a crucial moment in the quest for the truth, yet for many years, justice remains incomplete. The findings ignited calls for further accountability, while many advocating for criminal proceedings against those responsible. The legacy of Bloody Sunday continues to shape narrative of civil rights struggles today, reminding us all of importance in truth, justice and reconciliation.
But none of this firing provided any justification for the shooting of civilian casualties. And he finds that in no case was any warning given by soldiers before opening fire.